When we think of Moses, we usually jump right to the big stuff, parting the Red Sea, the Ten Commandments, all of that. But long before any of that happened, before he ever stood in front of a pharaoh, there was this one quiet, pivotal moment. And today, we're going to unpack that single moment that honestly changed everything.
See, our story doesn't start in a palace or on some grand stage. No, it kicks off out here, in the middle of nowhere, a desolate landscape where a man was basically hiding from himself, hiding from his past. It's a place of exile, of quiet regret. And it's in this forgotten corner of the world that something completely impossible happens. An ordinary, everyday sight suddenly becomes this supernatural spectacle. A vision that just shatters the monotony and defies all logic. But this is way more than just a weird fire. It's an encounter, a really personal call that would pull a broken man out of the shadows and set him on a course to literally change the world. This is that story. Okay, so to really get why this moment hits so hard, we first have to understand the man Moses had become. Because who he was at this point, that's what makes the call so incredible.
I mean, the contrast in his life is just staggering. On one hand, he was a prince of Egypt, raised in the golden halls of power. But for the last 40 years, he'd been living a totally different reality. A simply shepherd buried under the dust and the weight of a huge mistake. His whole world had just shrunk. The vast, empty silence of the desert was basically a mirror for his own inner world. This was a man completely weighed down by regret, absolutely convinced that his destiny, whatever it was long gone. After 40 years of this, you can bet he thought his story was already over.
And then we get to the event that just shatters that reality. The moment the ordinary world just breaks. And it doesn't start with a big explosion, but with something strange, something that pulls Moses off his daily routine and up a mountain. And then he sees it. It's just an ordinary desert bush, but it's wrapped in these flames that they don't flicker and die out. No, they dance like they're alive, shining like living gold against this harsh, rocky landscape. It's a sight so bizarre, so captivating, he just has to get a closer look.
But here's the part that makes no sense. This fire is breaking all the rules of physics. It's bright, it's hot, but not a single leaf is curled up. Not one branch is crumbling into ash. The bush is completely engulfed in fire, but it's totally unharmed, totally unconsumed. It's an impossible living paradox.
You can just imagine his mind racing, right? His shepherd logic is completely useless here. What is this thing? Is it a trap? Should I get out of here? But then, deep down, this little flicker of hope he thought died years ago starts to whisper. What if this is a sign? What if my story isn't actually over? So as Moses gets a little closer, his curiosity finally winning out over his fear, the strange sight becomes something else entirely. It shifts from a spectacle into a divine encounter. And a voice speaks. But listen, it's not some thunderous, booming God voice from the heavens. The source material makes it sound quiet, direct, and really personal, like someone is standing right there with him, someone who knows him. It calls him by name, twice. Then comes this command, and with these words, everything changes. This isn't just a random patch of dirt on a mountain anymore. The presence of God has made it sacred. So by taking off his sandals, Moses isn't just showing respect, he's acknowledging that he's standing in a place where heaven and earth are meeting. And notice this, the very first thing God talks about is empathy. This is not some distant, detached God. This is a God who sees, who hears, who is intimately aware of the pain of his people. Those 40 years Moses spent in exile weren't years God spent forgetting. And then the mission statement, the bombshell. For the guy who ran away from Pharaoh's court, who did everything he could to bury his past, these words must have hit like a lightning strike. I am sending you. The one person he was running from is now the one person he's being sent to confront. So how does Moses react? I mean, this is his big moment, right? Well, his reaction is so profoundly human. He doesn't jump at the chance. Oh no, he argues. He gives every single reason why he is the absolute worst person for this job. He basically throws up 4 big walls of resistance. First, who are I? He's a nobody, a has-been, a failure. Then, who are you? He needs to know what authority is behind this insane request. Third, the fear of rejection. What if they don't even believe me?
And finally, he plays his last card, his biggest disqualifier. I can't speak well.
Now, in response to Moses' question about identity, God's answer is, well, it's more than just a name. He doesn't say, I'm the God of power or the God of miracles. He reveals a name that's a statement of being itself, a name that just echoes with eternal presence. Let's just break this down for a second, because it's so profound. I am who I am. It's not a God who was or a God who will be. It is the God who simply is. Right now. Always. Present. It's a statement of ultimate reality, existence itself. And that is the authority sending Moses. And for that final, most personal excuse, his speech problem, God's answer is so simple and so powerful, it's almost devastating. He basically says, who do you think made the human mouth in the first place? It's not a promise to magically fix his stutter, but it is a promise to be with his mouth. God's power will work right through his biggest perceived weakness. And this, right here, leads to the final stage of his transformation. After every excuse is met with this incredible divine reassurance, the hesitant shepherd finally accepts the mission. He's no longer running away. He's going back. I mean, this is the ultimate identity shift. The guy who defined himself by his past failures, the runaway prince, the forgotten exile, he now has a brand new identity, one given to him from the fire. He is a chosen instrument. His past doesn't disqualify him. In a way, it actually prepared him. And that, right there, is the core takeaway from this whole encounter. The story of the burning bush isn't really about a magical fire. It's about the fact that God didn't pick a perfect hero or a confident king. He chose a broken, insecure shepherd who was full of excuses, and he simply asked for his willingness. Which kind of leaves us with a big question, doesn't it? What fires are calling out to us from the deserts in our own lives?